Hey everybody, Justin here with BearzapperBBQ. You're probably wondering why this video looks like an old Kung Fu movie. Well, that's because I bought myself a new camera and the microphone wasn't set up correctly. So it looks like a really bad dub of a movie. So forgive me in advance. So today, I would like to make a strawberry compote for you all. Strawberry compote, like a strawberry sauce, you may recognize it as something that sometimes you go to an ice cream parlor and they have strawberry sauce on top of an ice cream, or you can get it on pancakes or on French toast, which is exactly what I'm going to be using it for, French toast. But it's just such a versatile thing that I really was excited to make this. And I'm making it indoors today, mainly because the weather isn't too great here. But you can make this on the grill. You can make it over open flame. You can make it over, on the big green egg or on the stovetop, as I'm going to do. So what I love about strawberry compote is it's a little bit thinner than jam. It really is more sauce-like, but you can add it to anything, right? You can make a barbecue sauce out of it. You can make a hot sauce out of it. You can use it, like I said, on pancakes or French toast, or even, something as simple as like fried dough, right? Fair season's coming up here in Connecticut in about a month, and I always destroy probably my weight in fried dough. But this would be awesome with like fried dough and powdered sugar. You can make donuts or really anything like that, or add it to a mixed drink. I mean, it's going to be sweet. It's going to be strawberry, but overall, it's just going to be super, super delicious. So I am really pumped to make this for you. I am going to be using fresh strawberries. You can absolutely use frozen strawberries on this recipe, but honestly, I think using fresh strawberries really helps to release some of that, some of the flavor, especially when coupled with the sugar. And I'm going to be using orange juice as, the liquid. You can absolutely use water, but orange juice is going to give it some more flavor. The acidity will help kind of release some of the flavoring and the coloring of the strawberries as well. But I'm really pumped for this. I'm really excited. I can't wait to make this. I can't wait to use it. I'll probably use some for the French toast and some for who knows what. Maybe a barbecue sauce or a hot sauce, right? That mixes the spiciness of the hot sauce with the sweetness of the strawberries. But again, I'm using fresh strawberries here. I used a pound of strawberries. If you do use frozen strawberries, please know that you may need to thicken it, because as the strawberries defrost, they are going to release some water. So you may need to thicken it, and you can thicken that with cornstarch or a little bit of flour. You could kind of make a roux, and thicken the mixture as well. But today, I am, I'm going to use just local organic strawberries from just a local supermarket, and we're going to use that. The coloring on these is really nice. There's some really dark colored ones. There's some lighter colored ones, but it's going to be a good mix, and hopefully it's going to release the flavoring really well. So what we want to do is we want to basically core the strawberry. So we want to cut around the green part, cutting out most of the white as well, right? So we want to cut out the leafy pieces and some of the white, and just leave that super sweet, strawberry taste. All right, so we've rinsed the strawberries. Now we've let them kind of dry off a little bit, or we've let them wring out. And now we are going to start cutting them. So again, we want to, I'm just going to use a utility knife here, but we want to basically cut around the green leafy part and just leave and you're going to cut in a circle. Basically, you insert the knife and you want to cut in a circle, and the top should just pop right off. So you'll get like a little V almost. Throw out that part, and we're going to cut up the strawberries into quarters or eighths, we don't want to cut them too small, but we want to cut them small enough where we are, they're kind of crushing up and releasing everything without having too many big chunks in there. Again, I am going to use some orange juice for the base of this. I feel like I said before, the acidity of this is really going to, and the sweetness of the orange juice is going to release, and couple with the flavors of the strawberries really, really well. So I'm really pumped for this. Again, I'm going to go ahead and take my knife, insert it. You do want to insert it on an angle. You want to pop it off and cut it up. It's going to be, pretty easy to do. This shouldn't be difficult at all. And I realized that the ones that I put into the pan were a little too big, so I'm going to go back and eighth them, kind of quarter the quarter, so that they cook down a little bit nicer. I'm going to drop those back in the pan. Currently in the stock pot, there's nothing but the strawberries. There's nothing in there. There's no sugar. We are going to add sugar, but there's no sugar and there's no orange juice currently. All right, I'm going to core this again. Pop off the top. See? Look how pretty that looks. I'm going to cut it up. Watch your fingers. That one's small enough that I'm just going to have it and then throw it in. So I'm going to continue that with the rest of these. I'm going to throw them in there, and then we are going to start the next step. All right, so if you're having trouble with taking off the green leafy part, you could always just remove the green leafy part yourself, pull it off, so that way you just have like the core of it, and then just cut around it. Sometimes the green leaves can, get in the way and kind of be annoying. Just watch your fingers when you cut. You don't want to cut through the strawberry and cut your finger. But this is the last one, so I'm going to drop that in. I'm going to cut the strawberry up, and I'm going to put that right into the stock pot. I'm going to wipe off the knife, move over the cutting board, wipe down the kitchen, the stove rather, and I'm going to throw out the core parts and the green leafy parts. Put this in the sink. We're going to start this next step. So the next step here is adding the orange juice. I got just I would highly recommend a no pulp version of orange juice. I just got like a vitamin D and calcium orange juice. But with that, I'm also going to add some sugar in. So what I'm doing right now is I am grabbing 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. There's one. And here's the second one. Now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of orange juice. You can also use water if you want to. If you're whether you're using orange juice or water, I recommend doing the dry ingredients first. That way the ingredients don't stick to the measuring spoon. There's our 3rd tablespoon of orange juice. Cap that, put that back in the fridge. And I'm just going to mix this up in just a moment. Again, we're using this orange juice just to add the flavoring. You do need something to, obviously to break down the strawberries, but adding the orange juice and the acidity of the orange juice as flavoring is going to go a long way. So we're going to turn this to medium high. I have it on an 8 setting on my stovetop. And what we're going to do is we're going to let this boil Once it starts to boil, we're going to drop it down to low so that it simmers for about maybe 5 to 10 minutes until the liquid really starts to thicken and becomes kind of like a thin syrup or like just a thick juice. I'm going to grab the spoon here. I'm going to mix it all up to incorporate the sugar and the orange juice with the strawberries. You can always add more sugar after as well. I don't think it's needed. It has a good amount of sugar, especially with the orange juice, but you can add it as needed. All right, so we've had this boiling. Now we are letting this simmer for, well, it's been about 10 minutes now. Been about 10 minutes now. So we're gonna let this simmer, and as I'm stirring, I'm also pushing down on the strawberries to kind of break them apart and release some of the juice. It just goes a long way to add, that extra flavor, and the natural sugars of the strawberries. So we're gonna let that simmer a little bit longer, and we'll come back when it's done. One thing I forgot to mention is what we want to do after this is after all the flavor and everything is incorporated together, what we want to do is we're going to end up putting this into a container. And it's really important to get a container that won't stain. The strawberry juice will absolutely stain a plastic container or the lid of a container. So use something that you may not be attached to or may not love. You can absolutely put it in a container like a glass mason jar. A lot of folks put them in glass mason jars. And as the father of 2 young boys, I can tell you that strawberry juice does stain. So be really, really careful. All right, I'm going to mix this one last time. And we're going to take it off of the heat and we're going to let it cool down. I am letting it cool down in that pot. That way, we don't, muddy up the waters too much. We want to continue to let it, to let the flavors infuse together. And what we are going to do is then put it into I have an old Toll House cookies container that I'm going to be using. I'm not attached to that at all. And, but I also found that besides a mason jar, or glass mason jar, one of the other really good containers to use is if you get takeout food from like a local Chinese restaurant or Japanese restaurant or anywhere that has those big quart-sized containers or larger containers that comes with like the lids that are impossible to open. Those work really, really well for this because you don't really care if they get ruined, but at the same time they really tend to stay closed, and you don't have to worry about them opening or you not closing it correctly and having your strawberry compote or syrup go kind of everywhere. So highly recommend using a container that has a tight closure on it. Again, I'm using a Toll House cookie container, like a tub of Toll House cookies. I'm using that, and just making sure that it's, I'm going to put that in there and make sure it's nice and cold, nice and closed tight. And then what we are going to do is we're going to throw it in the fridge, and we're going to let this thing, cool and thicken, and it will continue to thicken over time, as you can probably see. The coloring on the side of the container looks beautiful, but overall this thing looks good, smells good, and it's going to be delicious.